Located in the heart of Seoul's Yongsan-gu district, the National Museum of Korea is one of the country's leading cultural institutions, offering visitors a chance to explore Korea's history and cultural heritage all in one place. The museum has recently emerged as a new cultural hotspot, drawing increasing numbers of young people and international tourists. Last year, the museum ranked third in the world in terms of visitor numbers, following the Louvre and the Vatican Museums. So today, we'll discuss what's behind the museum's growing popularity with David Tizzard, professor of Korean Studies at Seoul Women's University and Hanyang University. We are now connected with him. Hello, Professor Tizzard.
Hi, Professor.
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to see you both. Sorry I can't be in the studio with you today, but happy and excited to talk about the museums.
We are very happy to talk to you over the line, Professor Tizzard, online. So let's talk about the National Museum of Korea, which has recently become a must-visit destination for people from all around the world. So why do you think has this attention grown in the past few years, and what are the unique attractions there?
Yeah, this is such good news for the country, and the statistics are amazing, aren't they? So you just said there that behind the Louvre and the Vatican, the National Museum of Korea, #3 in the world for visitors. It's really quite incredible, and it shows how, beyond Cortis and NCT, that Korea's museums and its heritage are also achieving success not only internationally but domestically. Now, why is it so popular? There's obviously a lot of moving parts, and Hallyu is one of them. Overall, I think one of the most important things is that Korea is now proud of its history. It's not something to be ashamed of or a dark past, but it's able to look back with such confidence. That's really important. Another reason, now this might sound superficial, but I was there yesterday and I can attest to this. It's incredibly Instagrammable. You go there and you're just blown away by these large open spaces, by these huge ceilings, by these rooms of contemplation, the ponds. And so it works as a really modern experience as you encounter and go through the past. And another thing might also be the contents. There are things in this museum that you might have heard about online, or that you might have watched some dramas, you might have read some books, but here you can see them, you can be really close to them. Some of them, they've even made replicas, and you can touch them, you can walk around them. So I think it gives people this kind of tangible experience and this idea that they can see things with their own eyes. And, you know, in a world of AI images and all of this kind of thing, I think that is a really important thing. Another thing I would add to this is that with this interest in Korea, this is for the international people coming over. They want to know the country more deeply. They want to know something about the country beyond what everybody else knows. I think anybody around the world now can recite Parasite and BTS and Squid Game, but it needs to be deeper than that. And so these people, they're flocking to these museums. And personally, I think it's wonderful to see that we're talking about museums being popular in 2026. What a cool thing.
Oh, definitely. So, Professor, you did mention that you were just there yesterday. So, aside from, you know, a great place to take pictures and put it on SNS, is there a particular artifact that has stayed with you, or something that you would recommend to international visitors?
Yeah, one of the big ones is this gilt bronze incense burner from Baekje, which was in the southwest of the country. And they have this model of it that you can go up and touch, and it's so intricately designed. It's fantastic. I can see you now putting footage of me by the lake. That's one of the best places, I think. And if you go by car, you'll completely miss it, because I was speaking to people about this. And when you go by car, you go into the car park, go up, and you completely miss that lake and pagoda. And it's beautiful. You can see when I was there, there was hardly anyone there. And that gives you this idea of the Yobek, the beauty of nothingness. There's the gilt bronze incense burner that I was telling you about. And this also gives us these elements of Buddhist and Taoist designs. It's really hard to find something like that anywhere else in the world. Perhaps one of my favorite things, and I'm sure many people will know about it, the Room of Quiet Meditation. Through this bright lit museum, you walk into this dark room with 2 Buddhist statues there in contemplation, and you're meant to be quiet. Of course, people get out their phones, but you're meant to just do nothing. You're meant to be there, and they encourage that, to let your thoughts wander and leave no mental footprints. That's really a unique experience, and whoever designed that for the museum, well, they should get some awards because it's really fantastic.
Wow, Professor Tizzard, I must have to say it was very enjoyable just watching your lively footage there at the museum. And just a quick question, though, like percentage-wise, how many foreigners were there, compared to locals, Koreans?
Yeah, I understand the question. It's hard to word it right, isn't it? But there were quite a lot of foreigners because I was there on a weekday around lunchtime. So I went in. And so you imagine that many Korean people, they're going to be at work, they're going to be at school, they're going to be going about their day-to-day lives. So from mine, it would have been about 50-50 in terms of international guests and domestic people. But in terms of Koreans, I saw sort of students walking around looking stuff. I saw people dating, clearly couples going around on a romantic date. But for the international tourists, it felt really interesting to see them there. And I find myself in this kind of third space. Am I an international tourist? No. Am I a Korean? No. But I can speak the language and I know what much of this stuff is. So in a weird way, I felt a sense of kind of pride or happiness to see so many different people there of different ages. So to answer your question simply, about 50-50 yesterday.
Okay, I was just wondering. And it's interesting to see so many international visitors now there because the first time I went there was when it actually opened. And I was a high school student back then, and I didn't see many foreigners back then. So now let's talk about the experience of how people enjoy museums these days. I think there are some changes that we see, right?
Yeah, we have this kind of maybe stereotypical idea of museums being quiet places where it's kind of dusty and like a library and you're meant to be silent and you're meant to stand with some degree of reverence in front of these relics from ancient times and you're meant to be awed by it. But that's really not the case these days. Museums have really catapulted themselves into the 21st century by offering digital and interactive exhibitions. They're meant to be noisy. They're meant to be enjoyed. There are some places like the meditative room, I said, where it really encourages you not to do any live streams or something. But for the most part, it allows you to be loud and noisy. And I think that's really good. From a personal thing, because the museum is so big and they have so much content there, it's very easy to get what people might call museum fatigue. I'm sure you've sat in a lecture or something like that before and you feel like your brain's on overload. You can't really take in any more information. The same thing is, it's possible that it would happen at this museum. So while you're there, I learned this from somebody who's into art. They're all about this. Find one thing that amazes you. You're not meant to be amazed by it all. But if you go to an art gallery and you're moved by one piece, then you succeeded. If you go to the museum or any museum, any exhibition around the world, and there's one thing that hit you, that moved you, then you're on the right path. And that's what this museum is really, it seems, trying to do and for the most part, achieving.
Definitely. Find one thing that amazes you. I'll remember that. And one of the examples of this shift is the popularity of the museum's merchandise known as Mutsu, which stands for museum goods. So why do you think people have become so enthusiastic about museum merchandise?
Well, if modern society, Bella, has taught us anything, it's that we can commodify and put a price tag on anything, from ancient relics to religions to spirituality, even to silence. But these gift shops and these museums, they're a really big thing. I was there yesterday with my wife. She's my personal driver at the moment as I suffer with my hand. But as soon as she saw the Blackpink collection, her eyes lit up. She's not really a big fan of Blackpink, I don't think, but she went, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one. She was moved by it. You also have the Buddhist statues that I think they appeared in one of RM's studio things, and since then they got really popular as well. People want something to take home. They want something to remember it by. They want to put a little little piece of Korea in their own house. So especially, you know, international visitors, wherever they might be going back to around the world, they can put a replica, they can put an object, and whenever visitors or people come and see it, they'll say, wow, where's that? What's that? And it opens up this conversation. This, I think, is really Korea's soft power in a way, because we see stuff online, we see digital media, but when you see an object in someone's house and they tell you a story about it, it completely changes your perception and conception of Korea. So it might seem like, you know, capitalism gone crazy, but I think it plays a very important role in terms of soft power, and they look good, and my wife will testify to that.
Well, I would love to have one of those soju glasses that we just saw. I think they turn into a different color when you pour soju in there. But Professor Tizzard, another recent trend is the costume play at the National Museum of Korea, where people reinterpret cultural heritage through costumes, of course, makeup and performances. So have you seen this by any chance, and what do you make of this trend?
It's really interesting. Here we're getting into a little bit of a sensitive topic because, you know, so some of my international students, especially if they come from North America, they express to me their hesitation about wearing hanboks when they visit the palace, because they come from a part of the world where conversations around costume and culture are a little bit different, and they want to be conscious of that. Here in Korea, they love cosplay, they love concepts, they love dressing up, and K-pop and everything else is testament to that. And the museum has seen what the palaces do and how people are so willing to dress up, and the museum is saying, let's get some of that in it. So I think we need to understand this in the Korean cultural context, how much joy and happiness it can bring, as well as spreading knowledge. You see the shimmering, glittery things there. You know, the people of yesteryear, they used to wear the gold dangly things so that it would sparkle in the sun and shine in people's eyes and make it appear as if they were gods or people from the heavens, and you couldn't quite look at them properly. So the dressing up is very comfortable in Korean. High school students do it, K-pop artists do it, and yes, even the museums do it.
Definitely. Maybe next time I visit the museum, I'll dress up as one of the ones that we've seen.
You already
I know, I
matched them.
I feel like I know I matched it.
The
gold with the gold going on. Okay, so finally, Professor, do you have any tips for international visitors visiting the National Museum of Korea for the very first time? And the museum itself is located in Yongsan. So are there any nearby attractions that you would like to recommend exploring along with the museum?
What a wonderful question, Bella. Thank you. And I look forward to your costume. Perhaps I'll do mine as the Buddha. I could probably get away with that with my belly. My recommendations would be, don't do the War Museum on the same day, because it's really close. It's right next door. But quite frankly, it's too much, I think. You'll be overloaded. A place that many people might not know about is behind Samgakji Station. There's an area there that's become this really cool place for dating and for cafes and for music and restaurants. It's really, really cool, really, really hip. So if you're in that Yongsan area and you've done the museum, find Samgakji Station, go to the little alleys behind it, and you'll enter into this world of about 3 or 4 parallel roads with some of the coolest restaurants the city has to offer. I'm a bit loath to reveal this secret because I like going there with my friends and hanging out, and I hope it doesn't get too busy. But for now, behind Samgakji Station and not the War Memorial, and that's a proper Korean experience, I think.
I think you're talking about the Yongmi-dangil, how they also call that area. Okay, let's not reveal too much. But thank you very much, Professor Tizzard, for your insights as always and your recommendations. And this really was a fun museum experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And also fast recovery.
Yes.
And thank you, Bella, as always. So we're going to have you back here pretty soon.
Yes, I'll see you soon.